Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the Cali Effect presented to you by SlimXTeamSymmetry. Today we're going to be talking about identifying cards and exactly how they work. Now this is going to be a very long video, so I decided to do it in parts. This is going to be part one of probably a 2 or 3 part series, mainly because I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear me babble for 20 minutes about how card effects work. We're going to be using mermails as a guideline, just because mermails are just that good. It's a lot of a good player that plays mermails will know how to abuse mermails and use the fact that certain monsters or certain effects to their advantage, thus being able to disable your opponent from going through certain things. We'll definitely try to get into that topic in one of the videos, but for right now we're going to be talking about flip effects, ignition effects, trigger effects, and optional trigger effects. We'll start off with Penguin Soldier being our first monster to talk about in flip effects. No, I do not run Penguin Soldier in mermails. It was just a good monster to talk about flip effects. Now, flip effects happen when a flip effect monster is flip face up, either by battle or flip summon. If the monster is flipped up and destroyed by battle, the card is destroyed first. Then the effect is activated and resolved on the field in the damage step after damage calculation. Since the card is already destroyed, effects like Penguin Soldier cannot target themselves. Pretty simple. How you can tell a monster is a flip effect, it will typically just say, I don't know, flip, and the first word in the first sentence of the card effect. Now, as we go through the list, there's obviously going to be some cards that say, no, Cali effect, you're wrong. For example, Snowman Eater. Not really a flip effect, but when it's flip face up, it does get its effect. So, thank you, Konomi, for trolling me. Flip effects cannot activate, as like I said, if they're being destroyed by battle. Hopefully when the opponent monster is attacking my face down Penguin Soldier, their monster's attack is bigger than Penguin Soldier, because that's kind of a shame if your monster's attack is lower than 500 and you're attacking with it. Penguin Soldier will be destroyed first, but its effect would activate, target 2 cards on the field, or 2 monsters on the field, return them to the hands. That's basically how flip effect monsters activate. I'm sorry, you can't set a monster and then flip it on the same turn. It works just like any other normal summon. You can flip summon as many monsters as you have face down. It doesn't count as a normal summon. I'm tired of seeing that on Dueling Network. It's just bad. Next, we're going to be talking about ignition effects. Now, ignition effects are spell speed 1 effects that require manual activation by the card's controller during their own main phase 1 or 2. For this, we're going to be using Mermail-Abyss Megalo and Mermail-Abyss Steus. Now, Megalo and Steus both have ignition effects and trigger effects inside of their effects. First, we're going to talk about the ignition effects. We'll get the trigger effects later. Mermail's ignition effect, to discard 2 monsters from the hand and special summon himself, that's an ignition effect right there. Mermail's Megalo's effect, to tribute a monster so it can attack twice, that is ignition effect. As far as Steus, excuse me, I'm a little sick. Steus's discard to special summon is an ignition effect as well. If you guys are getting the objective of an ignition effect, it means basically to do something, you have to do something. So you do something in order to do something. Prime example being Master Hyperion. The effect to banish, to destroy a card on the field, it's saying do something to do something. And that is exactly how you find out what spell speed 1 or what ignition effects are. I apologize. You cannot chain Megalo to Steus's effect. They're both spell speed 1. That's exactly how we're talking about. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have to get into how spell speed work later on in one of these videos. If you guys wanted to find a card to just say, no, Cali effect, you're wrong, it's going to be Red Eyes Wyvern, who is an ignition effect, whose effect activates on the end phase of the turn. Now, if you keep in mind and you read the card effect, it says do something to do something. Banish him to special summon Red Eyes, which still means his ignition, still spell speed 1. Next, we're going to be getting to the hard part of the video. I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about triggers, optional triggers, triggers that miss timing, how to miss timing, such and such and so and so. And for these 3 things, we're going to be bringing out 3 Steam monsters. Now, trigger effects are considered spell speed 1, but that doesn't mean you can activate them whenever you want. Only when a condition has been met. Basically, I'm going to give you an example in Mermail Marksman. Marksman can't just be activated. Triggers are different from ignition effects. You don't do something to do something. Triggers are like when something happens, do something. So if that makes sense, ignitions or do something to do something. Triggers are when something happens, do something. In Marksman case, when he's discarded or when he's used for the effect of a water monster, you destroy 1 face down card on the field. That's basically how trigger effects work. Now we're going to go through optional triggers, which is just a little different than than regular triggers. Now, optional trigger effects are effects that don't happen automatically when the trigger condition is fulfilled. The controlling player decides whether to activate it or not. These effects involve cards like Abyss Land, which in certain cases they can miss timing. Now, let me get this straight. Abyss Land cannot miss timing, but I was just using that as effect as an optional trigger. We'll get into how to miss timing right now. There is one way to tell if a card can miss timing. First, if the card says "win" and then "you can" in its text, that means that card can miss timing. Cards like Abyss Land, Abyss Gun say "if you can." Keep that in mind. If a card says "if you can," the card will never miss timing. As long as you decide to use this effect, even if it has to start its own chain, it will not miss timing. That's exactly what timing is about. Now, let's get a little deeper into it. I'm going to show you an example where monsters would miss timing. Let's say this Abyss Land is like Pulsar Dragon. And let's say that this marksman is the Raikou. So, it is my opponent's turn, and he's attacking my face-down Raikou with Light Pulsar Dragon. Raikou gets flip face-up. Raikou destroys Light Pulsar Dragon with its effect. Am I correct? Also remember that Raikou's destroyed too, because, you know, flip effects that we just talked about. But Raikou, or Light Pulsar Dragon, is destroyed by Raikou's effect. Then, the last thing to happen, because Raikou does have a second effect, at resolution, it sends 3 cards from the deck to the graveyard. Light Pulsar Dragon cannot activate its effect because it wasn't the last thing to happen. Now, Light Pulsar Dragon on the card's description says, "When you can." When it is destroyed, you can special summon. So if you guys are getting me correctly, monsters that say "when you can" miss timing if they're not the last thing to happen. Case in point was the Light and Darkness Dragon. Now we can go through another scenario. Whereas, let's say I have Abyss, well, not even Abyss, because we already know that can never miss timing. I'm going to give you a more trickier card. Giant Rat versus Blackwing Shura. If it's both the damage step, and it doesn't matter. Let's say my opponent is attacking my Giant Rat with a Blackwing Shura. Would they miss timing? No, they wouldn't, because both of the cards are both being fulfilled in that condition. The Giant Rat goes to the graveyard, and the Blackwing Shura sends a monster to the graveyard. So they would both get their effects. They would just form a chain, and then you would special summon accordingly. Turn player normally goes whatever, blah, blah, blah. Chain Link 2, Chain Link 1. We'll talk about that in another video. I don't want to spoil it and give you guys too much information at one time. That being said, it's just cards that can't miss timing. Remember, if you can never miss timing. When you can miss timing. I don't want to say will always miss timing, but it can miss timing. Using certain cards like Raikou, Fencing Fire Ferret, and other cards that have additional effects at resolution will force cards like Giant Rat, or not, I'm sorry, not Giant Rat, will force cards like Light Pulsar Dragon, Elemental Hero The Shining to miss timing. With that being said, thank you guys for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe on both channels, but most of all, enjoy. Watch out for the next video.